In mid-December, we conducted a national poll of American voters. The poll was conducted by Zogby Analytics of New York, surveyed over 1,000 American likely voters to determine their attitudes on a range of issues, not only the candidates they support, but their attitudes towards Arab Americans and American Muslims in particular. It's a survey we've conducted before, and it's one whose results are important to us. They tell us where we stand in public opinion. The results were disturbing on two levels. One is attitudes have worsened toward Arab Americans and American Muslims. And secondly, there is a deep partisan divide that's actually a deep demographic divide. Republican and Democratic attitudes towards Arab Americans and Muslim Americans are almost mirror images of each other. Democrats having much more favorable attitudes, Republicans having much more unfavorable attitudes. And when you look inside the numbers, what you find is that on the one side, you have younger people who have college education, who are minorities, African American or Latino, who have favorable attitudes, and on the other side, it's middle-aged, middle-class whites who are born again or without college education, and they have the more negative attitudes. And so it's those two demographic groups who form the base of both political parties. We can look at some of the numbers right now. On the one hand, attitudes towards Arab Americans, the numbers are 40% favorable and 30% unfavorable. That marks a shift from the poll that we did in 2010, where the numbers of the favorable were higher and the numbers of the unfavorable were lower. And if you look internally, you'll see that the Democratic-Republican split, as I said, rather significant in terms of the differences between the two groups. The second one to look at is, let's just focus on the Muslim numbers, Muslim American numbers, because there it's even more dramatic. 33% favorable, 37% unfavorable, but look at the Democrat and Republican numbers. The gap is really great. We asked questions about if Arab Americans were in government positions or if Muslim Americans were government positions. Are you confident that they'd be able to do the job, or do you think their religion or ethnicity would interfere? It's important for us because we're an empowerment project and want to see both communities gain posts in government. Here's what the numbers show about Muslims. The numbers about Arab Americans are not much better, but here are the Muslim American numbers. 31% say they could do the job, 46% say they are not confident that their religion wouldn't get in the way, and again, 63% of Republicans not confident that Muslim Americans could do the job, as opposed to 33% Democrats. We asked questions about Syrian refugees, and again, a huge demographic split between Republicans and Democrats on this question. Democrats favoring the president's proposal to bring 10,000 vetted Syrians each year into the country. 59% of Republicans opposing. Now, one last question on President Obama's faith. It was as they'd say in poker, it was a tell. It gives us an indication of kind of where people stand on this issue of attitudes towards Muslims and their feelings about President Obama and how the two actually intersect. He's a Christian. Democrats 62% overall, Republicans only 16%, but 49% of Republicans believing that President Obama is a Muslim. And when we drilled down even deeper, 60+% of Trump voters said they believed that the president was a Muslim. And so there you have it, a deep partisan divide, a deep demographic divide, and a continued slide in the favorable numbers for Arab Americans and American Muslims.